Hey guys, this is Dame Tech and I'm back with another exciting video. First and foremost, thank you REDMAGIC for giving me your latest phone to test, the REDMAGIC 10S Pro, housing the Snapdragon 8 Elite leading version. For my first test, I will be using Fortnite since it's now available on both the iOS and Android platform, and currently the most popular mobile game according to Google Trends. This test will hopefully help us see just how much power the Snapdragon 8 Elite leading version has in comparison to Apple's leading smartphone chip, the A18 Pro. With that being said, if we look at the graphics settings at first glance, it does appear that 120 FPS is natively exclusive to iOS devices. However, if you modify configuration files, you can also forcefully enable 120 FPS on Android devices. Henceforth, don't be alarmed by this 90 FPS setting option. But, needless to say, I made sure resolution and the graphic preset were equal across both devices. So, now that we've discussed settings, let's jump into some testing. So now that we've finished testing for roughly 20 minutes on both devices, it's quite clear the REDMAGIC 10S Pro is clearly outperforming the iPhone 16 Pro Max in FPS performance. In fact, the REDMAGIC maintained 99% of the time a steady 120 FPS average, while the iPhone 16 Pro Max did average roughly 108 frames per second, but did dip even as low as 70 frames per second a few times during the match. Now, for thermals, the performance gap is even bigger. The REDMAGIC 10S Pro only peaked up to 40 Celsius, while the iPhone 16 Pro Max peaked up to a whopping high 47 Celsius. If you're wanting to play this game on the 16 Pro Max, you definitely need either a cooler or must lower the graphics to low instead of medium, as each match is around 20 minutes, which generates a lot of heat. Anyways, last but not least, this has nothing to do with REDMAGIC, but more so the game developers. If you are watching, please bring the same graphic quality textures that's on iOS over to Android. Since I use the same capture card on both devices, it does seem that the iOS version has slightly higher quality textures in comparison to the Android version. Nevertheless, thanks for watching, and definitely stay tuned for my next test on the REDMAGIC 10S Pro later this week.